understand, but it's a lot of, if we remove the red tapes, the businesses get a little bit boosted, but we have to, and also the licensing, we have to look into how we're doing it, but redesign the whole signage, bylaws, we have to do it from start to help the businesses.
How do you plan to support current and future business growth? You go ahead, Samantha.
Thank you. We as council can and should continue to work with the provincial government to ensure that the RMI funding continues. This funding enables tourism-based infrastructure improvements that essentially set the foundation for visitors to enjoy during their stays and return trips. Having year-round events, festivals, and infrastructure that supports all season activities is essential. By maintaining relationships with groups, associations, societies, tourism in the chamber, will ensure that their hard work and dedication that goes into events is supported by residents and visitors alike, which relates to bringing customers for our local businesses. Council should also remain open-minded of the change coming with consumer expectation. Due to technology and the push from the pandemic, home-based businesses are growing. As a municipality, we need to continually think ahead of what the ever-changing landscape may mean for Harrison and its future. Embracing our local gems, history, and partnerships is essential for year-round visitors. Eco and responsible tourism, Indigenous tourism, to showcase the history of the area are some options that we as council can consider through our existing partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, depending on how long the answers take here. This question is going to start from John. John Buckley.
Oh.
Sorry. John Buckley, this one. What is your stance on future green space planning? You may go ahead.
My future stance on green space is I guess say it best by saying this. When my wife and I moved here 12 years ago after retirement, I could have chose to live anywhere. I chose to live in Harrison Springs. The reason I came here was because of its beauty and all the resources that are around us. I will fight, I will do whatever it takes to keep the green spaces alive that we have. My wife and I are hikers, kayakers, I motorcycle, I do all kinds of things. And we are continually out in the village enjoying our beautiful natural resources. I don't want to see a number of trees chopped down just for the sake of chopping down. I want to encourage everybody, if you take one down, to please plant another one because they are our natural resources. And going forward, like I said, the green space beside the village office, I really feel strongly about that one. I do not want to see it going away. We could turn it into a park. We could keep one of the lots right next to the village office for an addition or something to the office. If it's needed at the particular time, then we're going to do it. But to just sell it, it is our gift, I guess, to the next generation. And I feel very strongly about keeping everything it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. What is your stance on future green space planning? You may go ahead.
As part of any development project, I haven't seen a park that's actually part of the amenity bonus that's actually given to the village. In fact, I have. The one on Emerson Cove, Schooner Way, and on Pine Breeze. What they donated to us was what they called green space, which is called Linear Park. Most of you probably don't even know that we actually inherited. It's a park about 10 feet wide and about one long city block long. As taxpayers pay to cut it. We have trees there which look like they're part of the boulevard of the existing development. That's not proper green space. When we get green space, we need green space. The forest lands on the east sector, those have got to be preserved. There were comments in the draft OCP about pulling them out and that there was an agricultural land reserve request in. That's absolutely, I don't have words for that. I've also seen recently in documentation that actually shows that the village has actually been looking at one time sewer infrastructure all up on Mount Woodside, all up the hillside, up to the pump. I don't think that's what any of us want to see.
What is your stance on future green space planning? Let me go ahead, Vicki.
Thank you. We've recently had a consultant who has developed our urban forest master plan. The expectation is that it will come to council later on this year, and I'm pretty looking forward to what those recommendations are. We've also recently passed a new subdivision bylaw, which will be addressing some of the concerns with our tree canopy. I will tell you that on my watch, East Sector lands will be protected. I know that in the new OCP there was a concern that perhaps something was going on with possible future development. I will tell you that has been removed from the OCP, and I'll tell you again, on my watch, East Sector lands will be protected. Development proposals must respect our beautiful environment, and I'm only going to reference development proposal that has come to council numerous times in the Randall Park area. That has been turned down 3 times by council. The reason I turned it down is because those large trees in Randall Park are on public property, and they provide the shade and the wind break. Thank you.
What is your stance on future green space planning? Let me go ahead, John.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Moderator. Well, I think my record as a defender of trees and green space in Harrison should speak for itself. But unfortunately, there's still a threat to the woodland lying to the east of Macomb Drive. As mayor, I got ownership of 73 acres. There's another 240 of Crown land and about 60 of private land. And my vision for that is to have a great park called the Harrison Forest Park. I've been in touch with the BC Community Forest Association, and I think that we can and should have in our community one large woodland area that's fully accessible with trails. All of the trails that are in there are trails that we were able to develop years ago and put names on. They all need to be cleaned out and properly named because the names aren't correct at the moment. And that is such a wonderful resource, both for the residents and for the visitors, that should be our #1 priority. I was horrified to read in Bylaw 1184 that the village was in negotiations with the Agricultural Land Commission about springing some of that out of the ALR for development. That has to stop. I've planted more trees, I think, in Harrison than anybody, including on my own property. And we currently have a consultant coming up with an urban forest plan. I would like to get together with him upon being elected and speed that process up so that becomes one of the foundation stones of our new official community plan. It should be based upon the preservation and development of green space and trees, And we will be a green community if we put our minds to it, and that's what I would intend to do. I'm also very protective of the Miami River.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
What is your stance on future green space planning? Let me go ahead and listen. What is your stance on future green space planning?
The green space, if not helping the fire and storm, because lately we have been having storms and fires, and if it's close to the houses and developments, cannot be kept. The green space, what we have here, should be maintained much more better by cleaning the dry woods out from the forest and making a true green space.
Thank you, Leslie. What is your stance on future green space planning? You may go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I brought forward to council and gained their support to have an urban forest management plan. That's well underway. That will guide us moving forward to maintain or grow our tree canopy. It's vital for our community. We have a bylaw that deals with development and removal of trees and replacement. I believe a Trails and Park Committee will bring great value to the community. I would also like to see us move towards boulevard gardens and accessible gardens. We may wish to also consider a climate adaptation strategy. I'd also like to see fire smart initiatives in residential areas. And it goes without saying, and you've heard it from existing council members, I will fight tooth and nail to keep that east sector as is or better, not only for our current residents, but future generations down the road. Thank you very much.
What is your stance on future green space planning? Can you go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. As probably to my left, just mentioned, we have put an urban forest plan in place and it's still in consultation. I believe it's 1 tree is removed, 4 have to be replaced if they have to be removed. Back in 2012, when I first came back again as mayor, I asked the Fraser Valley Regional District if they would take over the East Sector lands as a regional park, and they did do this. The trails are maintained, they've got nice signage, there's all the spirit trail is there with all the masks, there's washrooms and bridges have been built, and they maintain that. We are not in any way had before, after, in any communication regarding any development to happen in the East Sector lands. And this was taken out of the OCP recently. A motion was made by myself and passed by council that no development should happen in the East Sector lands. I think we're all very passionate of that 400 acres or so there. It's one of the last beautiful places in the Fraser Valley. And it's, as other colleagues have said, that we will stick by our guns to maintain that park. And I will reiterate again, there is no development going there, no communications with the Agricultural Land Reserve or any developer to develop that. Thank you very much.
That actually concludes all the questions that we have available to answer. Now, to wrap things up, each candidate does have 1 minute to have a statement, their closing statements.